Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing all the books that I read in June, July, and half of August. Currently it is mid-August and I fly to Europe in 2 days. So I'm only going to be talking about the books that I've read in the last 2.5 months. I think it's like, I don't know how many, maybe like 15, almost 15, I'm not too sure. Obviously I can't take all these books with me when I go traveling, so I just thought I would pre-film this now and upload it at the end of August, which is when you'll be seeing it. And yeah, I think we should just get into it. I kind of forgot what the order was. I think the first book I read in June was All This Twisted Glory by sarahhafidh, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I've rambled on about this book so many times. If you haven't heard me talk about this book, I don't know where you've been. I've been yapping non-stop about the series for months now. So this is the third book in the Woven Kingdom series by sarahhafidh. 3 books are out so far. The 4th book is coming out in September. This one right here. I've never been more excited. Like, the second it is released, I'm reading that book. I've yapped about it so much, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. It is a YA fantasy romance series. Truly, like, one of the best fantasy romances out in the market at the minute, in my humble opinion. Like, it is so good. If you love yearning, if you are a sucker for yearning, you will love this series. Fantastic writing, fantastic characters, just... If you're sick of reading like your average fantasy romance where like all the characters feel the same and just the story feels the same, definitely pick up the Woven Kingdom series. You will not regret it. It's so good. And while it is YA, it doesn't feel YA, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't have that like cringe. Not that YA is cringe, I'm digging myself a hole. It just, I don't know, it's just perfect. Like, it's so good. I rated this book, I think, a 4.25 or 4.5. And the only reason it's not higher is because in this book, you're following 2 storylines, essentially. So whenever I was in the point of view of the people that I'm not super bothered about, I was like, when will this end so I can get back to what I really care about? The chapters when it was in the POV of the people I'm not too fussed about, I was like, please just hurry up. Please hurry up. But whenever I was in the chapter of the people that I love, I was soaking it up. Like, literally soaking up every single second of it. The ending of this book... This was the book that inspired me to make a playlist, so I don't know when I posted that video, but I'll link it down below if I remember, hopefully. But I made a playlist for this series because I just loved it that much. I just wanted to hear music that correlates with it, and so I made a playlist. So yeah, that tells you what you need to know about how much I love this series. But yeah, definitely read it, definitely check it out. What else did I read in June? Phantasma? Definitely read this in June or July. I'm pretty sure it's June. I adored this book. 4.75. Like, I love this book so much, and I knew that I was gonna like it, but I didn't think I was gonna love it to this extent. This is a fantasy romance. By the way, because it's almost Halloween, this is just gonna be the best book to read for spooky season. Truly the best book. This is one of the most fast-paced, bingeable books, so if you're in a reading slump, this will definitely take you out of it. While it is like 500 pages, it didn't feel like that. Like, it just went by so fast. It is also on Kindle Unlimited. And our main girl, what's her name? Our main girl, Ophelia, her sister goes missing. And on the quest to find her sister, she gets herself in one of the most deadly tournaments ever called Phantasma. So she enters this and she meets our main male character, which is Blackwell. Now, Blackwell is a phantom. A phantom. So that was really cool. And just all the trials and like the actual tournament aspect of this game was so fun. So fun. Definitely spooked me out in some points, but it just had that like perfect gloomy, grim ambiance. Like, oh my god, reading this with like a gloomy playlist on Spotify, there's loads of them on Spotify, just Google like gloomy ambiance or something, the vibe will be immaculate. And yeah, I highly recommend this book. The writing was also really good and I enjoyed so much about this book. I can't wait to read... Where the hell is it? I've got Enchanter, the second book, just lined up there waiting for me. I definitely recommend Phantasma. It was fantastic. What else did I read in June? Belladonna. I think I read that in June. We have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. Loved this book, by the way. Again, so good for the spooky season. Just the vibes of this book. I would definitely say A Spooky Bridgerton is the best way to describe Belladonna by Adeline Grace. Like, if you like that sort of high society Bridgerton setting, you would love this book. But also there was so much more going on in this book. The only thing that I didn't love about this book, or that I didn't feel super connected to, is that a lot of this book is a mystery. There's like this mystery going on within the family, and I just didn't find myself super interested in the mystery. So when they were like trying to uncover the mystery, like I was just sort of like, it didn't hook me. But I loved the setting, I loved the characters, I thought the writing was so good, and also the audiobook for this was really good. I half listened to it like it's an audiobook. Fantastic. I feel like the audiobook really put me back in the story and kept me interested in the mystery. Loved the first 100 pages. Like, I think in the first 100 pages, I really thought this was going to be like a 5-star book for me. And I think I gave it a 3.75 or potentially even a 4-star, just because I really loved the setting of this book and just the concept of it. It was so lush and like dark, and the main girl, she sees death. Now, death is not like a concept. Death is like an actual entity, a person, and only she speaks with him and she communicates with him. And so I just thought that part of the book was really cool as well, and I definitely do want to continue the series. I don't find myself like desperately wanting to continue the series. I'm not like I need to read the second book now, but I do find myself very intrigued by the story and where it's gonna go. So yeah, definitely recommend this book again, especially for all of my subscribers that are in Europe or the States or Canada or just the Northern Hemisphere. Because fall is coming up for you guys, you are in for a treat if you haven't read this book or this book. I read these both for like a winter reading vlog, and oh, immaculate vibes. Immaculate. Not my battery about to die. This always happens to me. I will go charge my camera, have some food, and we shall return once my battery is not about to die. Hi guys, I'm back. It is indeed the next day. By the way, I got my nails done. Do you like them? I didn't think it was gonna be this pink. It's almost pinky purple. I think because of my skin tone, I've got like green olive undertones, so it showed up extra pink. But anyways, let's continue the reading wrap up. Where was I up to? Have I already spoken about God of Malice? I don't think so. We'll talk about God of Malice. So, I did indeed read God of Malice by Rena Kent. Yes, I did. I also have a reading vlog of me reading this. It should definitely be up by now. That will give you a lot more insight into my thoughts and everything regarding this book. But to tell you a little bit about the synopsis. The synopsis of this beautiful book, this actual psychopath, Killian, he is like genuinely a psychopath. He is not to be romanticized. He's like a proper psychopath. He likes skinning animals, like to look at their skin and their veins, and he has a torture room. Oh no, it was called a pain room. I forgot what it was, but he likes to take photos of like either humans or animals suffering. He really enjoys people suffering. He finds out that our main girl, Glyndon, is a virgin, and the entire plot of this book is him obsessing over the fact that she is a virgin and him trying to take that from her. And unfortunately, that is the plot of this beautiful book. So look, super entertaining. It is one of those books that just feels like a car crash. You're like, kind of can't look away because you're like, what is going on? So definitely entertaining. I will give it that, but it is a car crash nonetheless. So that's that. I think I gave this book a 2-star or a 2.25 star. It was just like very Wattpad writing. Just, it was almost like comical at times. Like I would find a lot of the stuff like humorous, like especially the dialogue. Like some of the dialogue was so cringe. Oh my god. So yeah, that's God of Malice. If you want a more in-depth review and I go more into my feelings and everything regarding it, definitely watch that reading vlog because you will find out so much more about this book and my feelings towards it. But yeah, I did read it and I'm really proud of myself for reading it, and yeah, that's that. Another book that I have been reading in the last month, well, I haven't properly finished reading it, but I have been going through it, and it is just so magical, so incredible. I just feel like this book would make the best present ever. And it is called The Book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding a Civilization, and this is the very kind sponsor of today's video. Now, this is not your ordinary science or history book. This is gorgeous. Like, I just have to show you the inside of this book. The illustrations in this book, truly outstanding. Like, this is a book that I have displayed on my bookshelf, and I've been going through it, especially like certain parts of it. I definitely feel like this is such a fun book to get for any of your friends who are obsessed with history, world building, anything like that. So let me just show you the contents. It has things on art, music, humans, building, food, animals, plants, medicine, everyday life, words, society, like how everything can be built. And it is truly one of the most beautiful, like, fascinating books you will ever go through. Like, it's absolutely stunning. The papers, the quality of this book, it's also handmade illustrations, the quality of the paper, the quality of this book. Like, I'm not okay with how beautiful it is. I do have a 10% discount code, which I will link down below and also put up here. I highly recommend, especially if you've got someone's birthday coming up or Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever. Such a good gift. And thank you so much to the book for sponsoring today's video. I also ended up reading another dark romance recently, and it is The Predator by Runix. This one I liked a lot more than God of Malice. If you watch my dark romance reading video, you will see my reactions to that one. That one was a mafia romance, and it had a much more interesting plot, a much more interesting premise. There were sort of like two mafia slash mob enemies kind of going up against each other, but then helping each other. So our main girl, she's like this really genius coder. She had this like file, and then it got stolen by one of her boyfriends, and this file was really dangerous. No, not really a file, it was like a code, and you're able to do like very dangerous things with this code. The way I'm completely butchering the plot of this book, again, it was so long ago, and like I didn't love this book, you know? Anyway, her ex-boyfriend ends up stealing it, and in order for her to try to get it back, she ends up working with the enemy of her father's mob slash mafia group. So her dad's like one of the most notorious mafia men, and she ends up working with this other man called Tristan Kane, who is our love interest. And to be honest, like the majority of the book is just them sort of like saying like, I hate you, I can't stand you, while they have like so much tension between them. I'm like, no, you don't hate each other. You really don't. And it's so evident to me and to you that you don't hate each other. You know, like so much tension, they're both so attracted to each other, yada yada yada. So it's kind of one of those like enemies to lovers books. Ones where the author, I feel like, is really trying to push the enemies to lovers trope down your throat and be like, look, they're enemies. And you're like, I don't feel like they are, you know? I feel like it sounds like I'm bashing this book and that I didn't like it, which is really not the case. I enjoyed it to some extent. I gave it a 3-star. It was definitely a lot better than God of Malice. It was more enjoyable. I thought it had a way better plot. I just found the writing to be a little bit repetitive. I feel like it started off better for me, and then just by the end of this book I was like, I'm a little bit over it, to be quite honest. And yeah, I didn't really care much for the relationship going on and the romance blooming within the book. I was actually a lot more interested in the plot. So that tells you what you need to know. I definitely would recommend it as like a first dark romance kind of book, because it's not dark. It's not dark in the way God of Malice is. I think it's just more dark in the way that it's like mafia, mob, killing, gangs, that kind of darkness, you know? But like the actual content of the book, I didn't think was dark. Some things, but like way more tame than God of Malice. But yeah, it was okay. 3-star, and again, kind of recommend it, but also kind of don't. I feel like there's probably better books out there, but I think it's a fun, bingeable series from what I know. So yeah, I do recommend it. I don't feel like I read a lot of books I really loved the last like two and a half months. You know, like I've read books I really enjoyed, but I don't feel like I've landed a 5-star. Have I? Oh my god, I don't think I have. That's really sad. Have I really not had a 5-star in like 2.5 months? That's crazy. Is that actually right? I think it is. Oh my god. Okay, anyways, moving on to The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I, again, honestly kind of forgot the plot of this book. Definitely not my favorite Frida McFadden. My slight concern with her and the 2 books I've read recently is I feel she's getting a little bit sloppy. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. But I feel like she has so much potential to write such a good thriller, but I just feel like lately she's kind of, I don't know, she's been missing the mark, and she definitely has it in her to write a really good one, but I don't know, like I kind of found myself getting a little bit bored in this one, which is so unlike Freida McFadden. Normally her books do not bore me. They are like so bingeable. I want to just read them and not put them down until I finish them. This one, I'm not gonna lie, like I found myself like not, at least when I was like at this point of the book, I was like sort of didn't even want to pick it back up, and that's really bad for a thriller. I feel like the plot twist in this book didn't shock me. It just kind of left me like, okay. And then when I finished the book, I was like, okay, that's it. I don't feel like I'm having very good reviews about the books I've recently read. Maybe it's me. Maybe it is me. But yeah, like I'd still recommend it. You know, it's a good time. It's a classic Freida McFadden. It is, you know, it will kind of keep you interested. And I think a lot of people did enjoy this one, but I also know a lot of people agree with me and think that her most recent books, because she's just dropping them so fast, like she releases books so often, just feel like if she took a little bit longer and released less books but of higher quality, it would be a much better time for us as readers. But yeah, still recommend it. I think this is probably like a 3-star for me. What else did I read? Oh my god. so many bad books. And then we have Nectar of the Wicked by Ella Fields. I did actually DNF this book. You know, I actually think that because I had so many bad books in a row, I may have been put in a reading slump, which is potentially why I DNF'd this. But I did DNF this book. This is a darker fantasy romance. This is a fae fantasy romance, and I was so excited to read this knowing it was fae. I'd missed my fae, you know? But this book, I feel, was written purely like, you know, just to set up something, to be used as a vessel in order for spice to happen. And I don't feel like the spice was good, and it was so rushed, like so incredibly rushed. You don't even get to know the characters. Like it kind of just like started getting into it. No connection to any of the main characters, no really good world building, no nothing. It just really was so lackluster in my opinion. The writing was like okay, and I think in the first like 30 pages I was very excited and like intrigued by the plot. Our main girl, what the hell's her name? I think her name was Flea. Genuinely, it was like a nickname, but yeah, literally her name was Flea, like the little itchy stupid pest. Yeah, she, for 20 years, she doesn't know who her family is. She's originally half fae, and she was planted in like the human world by a fae. Some fairy creature stole one of the human babies and put her in the place instead. And she grew up in the human world, and her parents, she doesn't know who they are, and the guardian that was taking care of her hates her guts. And in like the first 20 pages, her guardian dies, and in order for her to be able to pay like her mortgage and all the bills, she decides to work in the equivalent of like a brothel. And then in like the first 40 pages, the high fae lord, most powerful fae lord, comes into that brothel. And yeah, again, like no for me personally. I think some people may enjoy it. I just wanted a bit more. Like if I don't care for the characters, the plot, or anything like that, I'm just not going to enjoy the story. So this was a DNF for me. Right, moving on to a reread. I did reread Normal People by Sally Rooney just because I'd read this book so long ago and I really loved it the first time I read it. Mind you, I read this book right after watching the TV show for Normal People, and I always say this is one of those rare scenarios where the TV show, in my opinion, is so much better than the book. I honestly think you can skip reading the book and just watch the TV show, because the TV show is done so exquisitely. Like the acting in the show, the way it's shot, it's so cinematic, it's so beautiful, and it's one of those shows you really have to like pay attention to, because so much of the beauty of it is in the acting and the really subtle moments and the glances and like the pauses. Like it's just very beautiful cinematic show, and really heartbreaking at some points as well. And luckily I still really did enjoy this book. At first it took me a little bit to get into Sally Rooney's writing. She has a very distinct writing style. She's one of those authors where I really understand if someone says they don't like her writing. You know, sometimes when you love a book and someone says they hate it and you're like, what? How could you hate it? She's one of those authors that I personally really love, but I fully understand when someone says that they don't like her writing or her books, because I'm like, I get it. Her writing style is a little bit odd, not odd, but like it takes a little bit to get into, you know? I just think this is such a good story. I personally love the miscommunication in this book, especially because the two main characters in this book, they meet when they're in high school and they're 17. They come from very different social classes and also very different like popularity sort of ranking within the school. And this book isn't just about like the dynamic between those two main characters. This book also delves into like social classes and a little bit of politics and just so much more. It's a really interesting read. I personally really recommend it, but again, I understand that some people don't like it. And whenever I see this book being recommended alongside like romances or people reading this expecting a romance, like a typical normal romance, I really don't think this is a romance book. Like, this is not romantic. Sure, it focuses on like a love story between two people when they're young, but it's not romantic. You know? It's sort of almost them like, it's almost a coming of age story and them navigating adulthood and changing. And there's so much going on in this book. But yeah, really enjoyed it. 4.25 stars. It started getting really dark, so I've put my ring light on. I hope it's not too bright for you guys. But moving on to another DNF. So sad I DNF 2 books. We have The Starlight Heir by Amelie Howard. Now, this is this woman's first ever fantasy romance. I learned that she typically writes historical fiction. And, you know, she did a pretty good job considering this is her first time writing a fantasy romance. And this book had so much potential. Like, it deeply upsets me that the writing was so cringe because the potential for the story was there. It was there. This book didn't just have modern writing, like it had modern, not even just modern, it had like outdated sayings. Like, I'm talking 2016 sayings are in here. The best friend of the main character at one point literally says, "Thick thighs save lives." You did hear that correctly. And at one point, the main girl's talking to the prince and he's like explaining something to her. And she says, "Don't prince-splain things to me." You know how like the saying mansplain is really popular right now? She says, "Don't prince-splain this to me." There were also many other scenarios like this where it was just like really cringe sayings in this book. And like, this is a historical setting. Why are we speaking like this? Like, I just couldn't with the writing. I really couldn't. And because of that, it just completely took me out of the story. You guys know I really hate modern writing. And even people who don't mind modern writing were really bothered by this book. Because I went to read the Goodreads reviews just to make sure I'm not crazy and that I'm like not the only person who thought this. Luckily, a lot of other people were very bothered by this. So yeah, I don't really recommend this book just because I think there's way more better fantasy romances out there. But hey, each to their own. Right, and then I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This is my first ever Kristen Hanna book, and I think I gave this book a 4.25 star. Maybe 4.5, but I think more 4.25. In the first 100 to 150 pages, I was dead certain this was going to be a 5-star book. The writing is beautiful. Her storytelling abilities, 10 out of 10. Sort of reminiscent to Khaled Hosseini, who's like one of my favorite authors. Like, they're just able to pull you into the story, make you feel like you're the main character, set up the setting and like the landscape so well that you're like, I feel like I'm there. And the setting in this book is Alaska. Now, I've never been to Alaska before, but I'm deeply fascinated by Alaska. And I watch so many YouTube videos on Alaska and like how people live in Alaska, because when you read this book, I'm gonna say Alaska is like a main character in this book. This book really talks about the setting of Alaska and like what it means to live there and how hard it is for the people that live there, but how much they love it. It's a place people go to either escape something or they just want peace and quiet or whatever. But it's not easy to live out there. Like, it's really not. They spend all of summer preparing for winter, fishing and growing fruit and vegetables and setting up things. Also, they are prepared for winter because winter is long. And you've got like dangerous animals attacking you and you can just die by slipping in the ice. Like, so many things are out to get you. It's really man versus wild. and I loved the setting. I loved it so much. Like, that was my favorite part of the book, just talking about Alaska. So good. So it follows a girl and her parents, and her dad is a war veteran. He just came back from Vietnam and he's super traumatized, of course, by what's happened in Vietnam. So this is set in the 70s, and he's always moving them around thinking the next place is going to give him happiness and it's going to change their lives, etc. And so he decides that Alaska is going to be the place to go. So he moves him and his wife and their daughter Leanie, who's like 13 at the time, to Alaska. They are not prepared to go there. They're not people that can handle living there, and just completely changes their lives. And it takes them a while to get used to living in Alaska. There's also a lot of like community within Alaska, so I loved that aspect of the book. But he's a very volatile, traumatized man, and she has a very shaky relationship with her father, and the mom has a very shaky relationship with the husband as well. They sort of walk on eggshells around him, so that sort of tells you, you know, what you need to know going into the story about the dynamics. Yeah, I just didn't love the ending of this book. The ending felt so rushed for me, and unfortunately it felt like a little bit melodramatic. The last 100 pages of this book didn't feel like the rest of the book. I just found it was so weird, and I was like, am I reading the same book here? So that unfortunately really dropped the rating for me, because it was honestly feeling like a 5-star. But yeah, I did land on a 4.25 star. Definitely highly recommend. Such a great book. And yeah, really love the setting. And then I read The Striker by Anna Huang. This was actually a really nice book for me to sort of break up all the different books I was reading. Don't normally read sports romances, and also this was my first Anna Huang book. Now, it is a very long book. How long is it? It's almost 600 pages. It does not feel like 600 pages when you're reading it. Like, it really, really flew. I personally loved the sports aspect of this book, because this follows Asher Donovan, who is like the star striker of the Premier League. Of course, he's a made-up player. If you don't know, I love football, like deeply obsessed with it. Like, after books, it's my second favorite thing ever. So I think because this is like a football-based romance, it made it so much more interesting for me. I say in my reading vlog that if this was about like baseball or ice hockey or something, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much as I did. Like, I really loved it purely because the sport was football. And there's also lots of talk about it in the book. So love that part of the book. I didn't love the romance, like the actual romance in this book. It was cute and I did like them together at some points, but I wasn't like sold on it. It was very, very, very insta lust. And I just wish that was a little bit different. I wish that was a bit more like dragged on with better tension. But yeah, I would really recommend this book. It's a 3.5, maybe a 3.75 star. Personally really enjoyed it, and yeah, definitely a nice palate cleanser for me. Forgot to mention, if you like spice, you would enjoy this. Definitely lots of spicy scenes within the book, and it's not just all about that though. Like, there's an actual story, actual plot. It's genuinely pretty interesting. So yeah, I definitely recommend The Striker by Anne Huang. And then I read Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. So this is actually based off a Dramini fanfiction called The Auction. It's a really famous Dramini fanfiction. And when I first read this, I thought that this author was basing it off someone else's story, someone else's fanfiction called The Auction. No, this author actually wrote that fanfiction. So that fanfiction, The Auction, it's hers. She wrote it, but then she decided to turn it into a book, and obviously she made some changes within it and published it as a book. And I really loved it. I really did. This is a 4.25 star for me. Definitely a bit of a darker book. I'm gonna say like a post Harry Potter like war book. Obviously all the names are different. Like, it doesn't, when you know that it's based off Dramini, when you read it you're like, oh yeah, this is so Harry Potter. But if you went into, like, you don't have to know Harry Potter or have to have read Dramini fanfiction to understand this book, if you know what I mean. Essentially, in this book, there's two kinds of people. There's the Evermores and the Bomardis. And the Evermores, they practice mind magic. So that's their specialty. They use magic from their mind, and they're able to control magic with their mind. Then the other kinds of people, they practice heart magic. And Draco, his name's actually Tovin, but you know, Draco inspired man, he's a heart magician. And Bryony, who's obviously inspired by Hermione, she's a mind magician. And these two groups of people hate each other. Not really, kind of. The Bomardis hate the Eversons, who are the mind magic people. And what ends up happening post-war is these people, the heart magic people, they capture all of the mind magic people. I hope you're sticking with me here. And they essentially use them as something called heart springs. So they have this auction, and each one of the heart magic people can buy one of the mind magic people, almost to keep them as like a magic slave in their house, and they're able to take magic from them to make themselves more powerful. So what ends up happening is, I'm gonna call him Draco just for this video. Draco inspired man buys Hermione. You feel me? Yeah. And the book is like dark, definitely in a lot of ways, because a lot of the people that were buying the heart magic people, the people that were buying the mind magic people, so confusing. Some of them were using them for other things besides magic, if you know what I mean, if you catch my drift, you know? So it's definitely darker in that way, but it had a very interesting story. Loved the magic system. Genuinely, like, it was good. It was a good book. I really liked it. I liked the writing, and I'm definitely excited to continue the series. So yeah, 4.25 star for me. Oh my god, you guys, this next book, why am I so nervous to speak about it? Then I read The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This was a book I really, really thought I was gonna love. Like, I was convinced that I was gonna eat this book up. And unfortunately, I found myself really bored reading this book. Like, so bored for some reason. Again, it could have just been my slight reading slump, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. This book moved very slowly, and I didn't connect to any of the characters. And like, for example, this Woven Kingdom by sarahhafidh, people complain that it moves so slow, and to be fair, it does. But because I loved the characters and I connected to it, I didn't care. I loved the story. And I think that's just what happens if you don't connect to characters. Like, the story is just not interesting to you. So yeah, didn't really care for the romance. I predicted a lot of the things that were gonna happen. The ending of this, like, people were like, oh my god, the ending goes crazy, the plot twist is insane. I didn't guess the exact plot twist, but when the ending happened, I was like, okay, like, I don't know. I was just expecting this to be a lot more. And I know so many people love this series. So many people were excited for me to start this series, which is why I'm so embarrassed and so ashamed that I just didn't care for it. I might continue the series, but I just don't find myself like dying to pick up the second book, you know? So that's me. I'm very shy about this. And if you love the series, I'm jealous. I wish I loved it, but I just didn't. So that's that. Those are all the books I've read in the last 2.5 months. Not too many books. I did move, so moving has taken up a lot of my time, like packing, unpacking, la 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 la. It's been a pretty busy couple of months, so I didn't get to read as much as I wanted to. But yeah, I can't believe I didn't get a single 5-star book in the last 2.5 months. That's so sad. I better get one soon. Fingers crossed. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!